How's it going, everyone? I'm Keegs, and we have finally gotten the first 2 episodes of the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. And I am just so excited to talk about it with the 2 people that watch my videos. But just know that this is going to contain spoilers for the first 2 episodes, so if you haven't seen it, then you can click up here and watch my other video talking about the history of the Inquisitors. For now, though, let's get into the first 2 episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Starting off, I did not know that Leia was going to be in this, and I really didn't know how big of a role she was going to have. I mean, at least for the first few episodes here, it seems like she's going to have a large impact on the story. They really lean into her resourcefulness, and they show that she's very smart. At certain points, I thought she almost was too smart for being a 10-year-old girl, but even at one point, Obi-Wan points out that she is kind of way too wise for her age. Though I guess it makes sense for her to be that smart, since she will eventually be the youngest senator in the galaxy. Though not smart enough to know that she couldn't clear that 20-foot gap before she jumped, I guess. I love how she just roasted her cousin there too, and if that was my kid, I would not have had her apologize. Maybe I would have, given her a little talk and was like, hey, maybe we shouldn't do this, but definitely would not have had her apologize since the kid just had it coming, but I guess that's why I am no senator. So I guess Obi-Wan is a meat packer too, and I couldn't tell if he was stealing those slices of meat or if he was just allowed to take them home for dinner every night. That was not actually super clear to me, but I guess he has completely cut himself off from the Force by this point, and you can tell that because of just how much of a struggle it is for him to call upon the Force to save Leia there in the end of the second episode. This is meant to be the lowest point in Obi-Wan's life, and he is really down in the dumps. He has lost all faith in the galaxy pretty much, and I think that's what this series is showing, is him regaining his faith in the Force, in the galaxy, learning to find hope within these kids, as, kind of a little double entendre there for the New Hope title. But I think that's what all of this is going to be about, and we're eventually going to see him back to that ultra powerful Kenobi super meditative state that we know and love. Leia eventually gets captured, and I thought it was quite the coincidence that the third sister, Reva, chose Leia of all people to capture, but I guess if you think about it, maybe she's tried this before, and other people that were close with Obi-Wan, she's kidnapped them or their children or something, but they didn't have a connection or a way to contact Obi-Wan, so there was nothing they could do about it. So maybe she has been stealing people for a while now, and now she just finally hit one that actually had a connection and a way to talk to Obi-Wan. I don't understand why Bail Organa did not want to send the military or get the Senate involved in the disappearance of Leia, though. I feel like a missing princess warrants a very big response. I mean, even take into the fact that, okay, they don't want to draw attention to themselves. Sure, they call up Obi-Wan to get the job done. But I'm going to argue back. How did Reva know that the Organas were not going to send some military detachment unit to go find Leia? Even if you were like, okay, they're going to contact Obi-Wan to go find this girl, why would they not also send their personal guard after her as well? I feel like there's no way, because Reva didn't know how important Leia is, there's no way to know that the Organas were going to want to keep that a secret. I think that is a bit of a stretch in my mind, and I don't really understand that thought process. To me, it almost draws more attention that they didn't send a military unit to rescue the princess and only contacted Obi-Wan. Why would Obi-Wan care so much about this specific girl? That just felt a little weird to me. Obi-Wan didn't even want to save Leia at first, which isn't really surprising since he's been hiding away so long. He's really almost forgotten how to care about people. He does still care about people, but he just doesn't want to cause any trouble, and he definitely doesn't want to spark any emotions or memories that are going to trigger his PTSD, which I thought they handled very well. And the flashbacks, he can't sleep at night, and I think they have done a really great job at showing how he probably did feel at the time for the last 10 years about everything that went down. But we know that he's really stopped caring or trying to help people when the Jedi shows up and asks for his help, and he's just like, yo, bro, go bury your lightsaber and hide away in a shell like I'm doing for the rest of my life. Eventually, Bail goes to see him personally, and Obi-Wan changes his mind and says, okay, fine. He goes to Dayu, which is like a casino world, and there I thought 100% someone's going to walk up to him and offer some death sticks. They did offer him some drugs, but not death sticks, unfortunately. I was really, really hoping for it. As soon as I heard Kumail Nanjiani's voice too, I thought, this is the Jedi they were referring to. Fraud, 100%. Didn't he have to do anything after that? And I just knew that this was a scam that he was running. But I thought he did a great job as Haja. And I think he actually was saving those kids, and they were Force sensitive. You know, you think about it, and it's kind of odd that he would pretend to be a Jedi since all Jedi are being mercilessly hunted. It seems like a pretty dangerous game to play. Like, you might just talk to the wrong person, they turn him in over to the Empire or something, and the Empire just kills him because he's pretending to be a Jedi. He doesn't even have to be one. I feel like the Empire is brutal enough that they don't care. I thought at first maybe he's helping the Empire and he's sending these Force-sensitive kids onto a shuttle that's eventually going to take them to become Inquisitors of some kind. But nope, actually he was just a good guy trying to help people and just absolutely fearless, I guess. Especially when he stood in front of Reva and was like, I'm a Jedi you're hunting for, and like was pretending to be that. Like, why did she just... I thought she was just gonna keep walking, stab him, and then just keep going. But she did prove that she has a little bit of power, and she was able to figure out where the other people were going by doing like the mind trick in his mind. And I don't understand why she didn't kill him after that, but I mean, I'm glad he's not dead. He'll probably show up again, but I thought for sure at least 2 times in that one scene that he was going to die. A really interesting tidbit that we learned was that Reva knows Anakin is Darth Vader, which I thought was such a tightly held secret that pretty much nobody knows who that is. So it's interesting to learn that she and probably the other Inquisitors know who he is. So I think a couple scenarios where they would have learned his identity was in this scene right here. I've heard that this is Reva as a Padawan. Maybe at some time during Order 66, she saw Anakin as Darth Vader slaughtering a bunch of people and kind of put it together. Or maybe she definitely trained with Vader at the Inquisitorium right on the moon of Mustafar. So maybe she pieced it together there after fighting with him for a while. She's like, okay, this fight's like Anakin. Although as a Padawan, she probably shouldn't have known how Anakin fought because she probably never fought him when she was a Padawan. But I don't know. I'm interested to see if they're going to explain exactly why she knows Anakin is Vader and why all the other Inquisitors also probably know that. I wonder if Reva even made it out of the temple that day. I could very easily see a situation in which she ran into Anakin of the sort or something, and he took her back for training as an Inquisitor, maybe killed the rest of the Padawan, or maybe Reva initially gave herself up to save the other Padawans, and they got away, and she kind of stayed back on her own, and then that's what turned her to the dark side, and she honestly probably went and hunted down all those other Padawan that escaped with her. And Obi-Wan, you could just see the devastation in his eyes when he learned that Anakin was alive. I mean, he might have suspected for a little bit, but he repressed that memory just so hard that he wasn't willing to accept that that was true until he learned it. But then in the scene where he learns about it, it just, the weight and gravity of the situation, just you can feel it pull him down. They did a great job, I thought, at showing how all of the Inquisitors are not on the same page, and they have a very thin line of respect between each other, especially, I mean, Reva, I guess, doesn't really respect the Grand Inquisitor at all, because she stabs him in the end, but it's a very thin line that they all walk on, and they're all kind of waiting for some point to betray the other ones to elevate their own statuses. The Grand Inquisitor is definitely not dead here, as we know, because he shows up again later in Rebels, which takes place like 5 years after this show. So he's going to come back, and we know that the dark side actually may not allow you to come back from the dead per se, but it definitely will keep you alive. I mean, just look at Darth Maul and Darth Vader. They were both essentially mortally wounded, but just on sheer hatred, they were able to sustain their own lives. I think it's very possible that when the Grand Inquisitor picks himself up and just kind of reorients himself, he's going to be pretty pissed off at Reva, and he's going to make an example of her. I don't know if he's going to kill her, though I do think Reva will probably die at the hands of an Inquisitor, or maybe even Vader himself. But I definitely think the Grand Inquisitor is going to have to make an example of her as to not show so much weakness to the other Inquisitors. But she's just asking to get stabbed in the back. I think Obi-Wan might not even light his lightsaber up until he's faced off against Vader. That might be one of the only things that gets him to actually ignite it, though he is on some level prepared to use it because he got it out of the desert. But I think it's possible that, they're waiting for the big encounter between the two before he's forced to ignite his lightsaber. That being said, I definitely think that he could fight some of those Inquisitors first because he is looking hella rusty, and I think he's going to need to sharpen up his skills a little bit if he's going to take on Vader. I'm guessing that if they encounter Vader multiple times throughout this series, he is definitely going to lose and barely escape the first time because Vader's just, at this point, I think, been doing it for so long now. 10 years he's been hunting Jedi, and his skills are extremely sharp. So against a very rusty Obi-Wan, I think he might have the high ground this time. I cannot wait for Hayden Christensen to come back too and actually make an appearance outside of the Bacta tank. But when he was in there and you saw his eyes just open, you just could tell shit was about to go down. I do hope that this series is not just Obi-Wan toting around a child again, since we've kind of got that storyline a few times recently with, the Mandalorian toting around Grogu and the Bad Batch toting around Omega. Overall, I really enjoyed the first 2 episodes though, and I can't wait to see where it goes from here. I definitely think he's going to stay off Tatooine for a while because he wouldn't want to lure the Empire back there and potentially find Luke, so he's probably going to keep his distance, at least until the immediate Vader Inquisitor situation blows over. I would think, at least. But let me know, did you see anything in there that I missed? Please let me know down in the comments, but I will catch you all next week for some more Star Wars content.